another story about the Middle East today. Trump says the United States is totally destroying Iran as he issues chilling threat of more action coming today. From the Daily Mail. The article examines statements made by Donald Trump regarding Iran's leadership and the broader war between the United States, Israel, and Iran. The focus on the piece is Trump's comments about the status of Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, and the possibility that he was injured or weakened during the conflict. Trump reportedly said that the Iranian leader is probably alive but may be damaged, reflecting uncertainty about the condition after recent military strikes. The war began after coordinated United States and Israeli attacks on Iranian targets on February 28, 2026, which killed Iran's longtime supreme leader Ali Khamenei. The assassination created a sudden leadership transition in Iran's political system. Mojtaba Khamenei, the late leader's son, was subsequently evaluated to the role of supreme leader. The article highlights how the uncertainty surrounding the new leader's condition has become a major element of wartime messaging. Iranian state media reportedly described him as wounded but still capable of governing. Meanwhile, Western officials and analysts have circulated conflicting reports suggesting that he may be seriously injured or even incapacitated. Trump's statements have served several political purposes within the narrative of the conflict, or suggesting that Iran's leadership is weakened and reinforces the administration's claim that the military's campaign has been successful. Second, it signals to both domestic and international audiences that the Iranian government may be destabilized. Third, the messaging can serve psychological warfare purposes by projecting uncertainty about the regime's stability. The article also places Trump's remarks within the larger context of the war's strategic goals. Officially, United States leaders say the campaign aims to destroy Iran's missile capabilities and nuclear infrastructure. However, critics argue that some statements by American and Israeli officials suggest broader ambitions to regime's change in Tehran. A Daily Mail article reflects this debate by highlighting how comments about Iranian leadership intersect with the broader war narrative. Another key element discussed in the article is Iran's continued military response. Iranian forces have launched missile and drone against Israeli targets and the United States position. Iranian forces have launched missile and drone attacks against Israeli targets and U.S. positions in the region since the initial strikes. The ongoing retaliation demonstrates the Iranian state still retains military capabilities despite the loss of senior leadership. This dynamic complicates the narrative that the regime has been decisively weakened. The article also touches on the broader regional consequences of the war. Escalation has raised fears about the disruptions to global oil supplies, particularly through the strategically important Strait of Hormuz. Military operations and retaliatory strikes have increased tensions across the Middle East, involving multiple regional actors and alliances. These developments illustrate how leadership targeting can have ripple effects far beyond the immediate battlefield. Another layer of analysis involves the role of media reporting in wartime. The article notes how conflicting claims about the Iranian leader's condition illustrate the fog of war. Governments, intelligence agencies, and media organizations often release partial or strategic information during conflicts. As a result, public understanding of events can shift rapidly as new reports emerge. The article ultimately frames Trump's remarks as part of a broader political narrative about the progress of the war. By emphasizing the possible injury or weakness of Iran's leader, the administration presents the conflict as moving toward a favorable outcome. However, the ongoing missile exchanges and regional tensions suggest that the war remains unresolved. The piece concludes by implying that leadership uncertainty inside Iran could influence the future direction of the conflict, either toward escalation or internal political change. Mojtaba Khamenei is the son of Iran's longtime supreme leader, and according to reports referenced in the article, became the country's new supreme leader after his father's death. He previously held influence within Iran's political and religious establishment, but had not officially held the top leadership position. The article discusses uncertainty about whether he was injured during the conflict. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. It is one of the world's most important oil transit routes, with a large percentage of global petroleum exports passing through it. Military conflict in the region often raises concerns about disruptions to shipping and global energy markets. Let's get into this. Finally, a refreshing article. At least one that I've seen in a while. While the other outfits are wringing their hands, what's actually happening is beautiful. It's called winning. The headline itself is music to my ears. Trump says US is totally destroying Iran as he issues chilling threat of more action coming. The media wants you to read chilling threat and think of some madman on the verge of nuclear war. I read chilling threat and think about a man with power and a plan. It's the kind of threat that keeps the orcs out of Albion and away from the door. Let's look at what the president actually said. He wrote, and I quote, We are totally destroying the terrorist regime of Iran, militarily, economically, and otherwise. He didn't miss words. He didn't use weasel words like degrading the capabilities or limiting the malign influence. He said he's totally destroying them, and that's clarity. He listed the accomplishments. Iran's navy is gone. Their air force is no longer. Missiles, drones, and everything else are being decimated, and their leaders have been wiped from the face of the earth. This isn't speculation. This is a progress report. For years we've been told that Iran was this looming threat. Well, it turns out that when you have a president with the guts to actually fight back, their paper tiger status is exposed quickly. My favorite part is when he said this: "We have unparalleled firepower, unlimited ammunition, and plenty of time. Watch what happens to those deranged scumbags today." That is the language of a winner. It's the language of someone who knows he has the enemy on the ropes and is going for the knockout. The media calls it brash or undiplomatic. I call it reassuring. It's the difference between a politician who talks about strategic objectives and a commander who actually wins. The article goes into the details about the chaos inside the Iranian regime. Their new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, is a complete mystery. He hasn't been seen in public. There are rumors he's dead, in a coma, or has had his leg blown off. The regime is so weak that they have to have one of his news anchors read a statement from him on live TV. Pathetic. This is what happens when you punch a bully in the mouth. Their whole facade of strength crumbles. The mighty Islamic Republic, which has been threatening the world for decades, is now being run by what the article calls a ghost Ayatollah. They're firing off rockets and causing trouble, but it's the thrashing of a dying beast. They're trying to inflict global economic pain, but, alas, it is but a desperate gasp. The best part is when Trump was asked if the new leader was dead. He said, "I think he's damaged, but I think he's probably alive in some form, you know." That's perfect. It's casual and it's confident. It's almost dismissive in a way. It's like he knows and is saying that we've hit him so hard we don't even know what's left. But whatever it is, it's not a threat anymore. It shows the complete and utter dominance of the United States military under his command. America isn't just winning, she's not even breaking a sweat doing it. Okay, if we're gonna spend $1 trillion every year, we might as well use it. The article also highlights the absolute depravity of the American media. It points out that CNN, the network that cuts away from our own president's speeches whenever he says something they don't like, had no problem broadcasting unfiltered Iranian propaganda straight into American homes. They happily acted as a megaphone for the regime that chants death to America. This is the part that should make every American's blood boil. CNN is not a news organization. It is a propaganda arm for our enemies. They would rather give aid and comfort a terrorist regime than support the President of the United States. They did it because they hate Trump more than they hate the people who want to murder us. It's a sickness, and the betrayal so profound, it's hard to fathom. They aired the statement from the ghost Ayatollah who vowed to avenge the blood of its martyrs. Let them try. They have no navy, no air force. Their leaders are hiding in bunkers. They're third worldists. And even if they are still alive, their threats are as empty as their ideology. The only people taking them seriously are CNN.